All right, good evening. We'll go ahead and get the show started here tonight. Gosh, we had just about enough chairs. That is excellent. There may be some more that come. Thank you for coming out tonight. We'll go ahead and get things started. If anybody shows up, we'll find a place for them. I'm Bruce Dierking with KNDY and pleased to be the moderator for tonight's Candidate Forum. And we are pleased that Sarah Kessinger, where'd you go? Oh, right in front row where she's supposed to be. She's our timekeeper tonight. She has been largely the legwork that has contacted all of the candidates and helped us promote this around for Sarah Kessinger, please. And my worthy assistant, Ari Miller, is going to help with the school board presentation. She is a junior at Marysville High School and has helped us before, so she is a veteran coming back to the podium tonight. Another big thank you to Isaac Murphy with BBTV. And for those who have been asking, it will be streamed live, so if you want to go ahead and let folks know, it is streaming live on Facebook, and it's also on BBTV Channel 3 tonight, and will be repeated on Channel 3 multiple times up to the election on November 2nd, and I think will also be available for download through Facebook. So if they were not able to attend, it will be live on BBTV. KNDY, I'll kick my recorder in just a moment, and we'll air this on Monday evening, technology permitting, at 6 o'clock on AM 1570, FM 94.1. Unfortunately, with the new sound system they don't have an output for the radio station, so give me just a moment. Should have thought of that ahead of time. If you'll put your phones on silent, please, that will help with distractions here tonight. Hope to have you in and out within 2 hours, perhaps an hour and a half. We have some structure to the organization tonight, and we'll ask our candidates if they can please keep it on time. We can go through more questions. And there are lots of questions already coming in. Thank you. Ari's going to hand out some little note cards. If you do have some questions you'd like us to address, jot those down. I don't need your name, I don't need any identification, just something legible that we can make out. And we'll do as many of those as we have time for tonight. Don't be discouraged if we don't have every question just the way you wrote it. Sometimes we'll summarize those, but we're going to do our best to find out what you want to know from the candidates tonight. Finally, we do want to thank the candidates that took time out for us tonight. Not everyone was able to attend, so we will have some introductions that were prepared and shared with us. But we want to give some attention to the candidates that are here tonight for Marysville City Council, Mayor of Marysville, and USD 364 School Board. That said, let's go to work. We're going to do 2-minute introductions, or up to 2 minutes, and no, you don't have to use the entirety, but up to 2-minute introductions. We're going to do City Council and Mayor in the first hour, and then we'll tackle School Board. One of our School Board members will be here, but will be late tonight. So that's our forum. After the 2-minute introductions, we'll start with next down the line, and we'll just kind of alternate. Number 1 leads off with the intro, number 2 gets the first question, number 3 starts the next question, and so on and so forth. I'll cue you along the way. And the responses, keep those under 60 seconds. We can go through more questions here tonight. So, that said, Ward 1, Ward 2, Ward 3, Ward 4, and City of Marysville Mayor. I'll let you lead off, Bobby.
My name is Bobby Pickett. I'm originally from Omaha, Nebraska. I moved out here probably close to 30 years ago to get my, at that time, a teenage daughter out of Omaha, and we had just had our first influx of gang members, not pretend gang members, real gang members from the Chicago area. And they're infiltrating our schools. So, much to my daughter's chagrin, when all of a sudden there was a very big change in her behavior, that I decided to just pack it up and leave it. We lived in Seneca for a year. And I'm not gonna take anything away from Seneca, But I came through Marysville, driving around looking for a place to live. And housing then was just as tight as it is now. So we're driving around and we're just looking for anything we could take. And I drove past the high school and I fell in love. I thought any town that would have this nice field, high school, and then I discovered, because on the highway at that time, it wasn't really required to keep, the garbage cans and all of that cleaned up, but I turned down and went down Main Street, and I was sold. I was 100% sold in Marysville, Kansas. So, went home, told the daughter we were moving again, the younger one, but she didn't like that, but both girls ended up graduating from school here. One in, I can't remember now. Well, they're 5 years apart, but anyway, it worked out well. It worked out really well. I've been happy here. I have my own business here. This is my home, and that's all there is.
Very good. We okay on the back on the audio? Work them a little bit closer. I think maybe that's our challenge. Isaac said he's okay. Ryan?
Hi, I'm Ryan Wilson. I'm running for city council. I moved here about 1.5 years ago. I was born and raised here, so this is home for me. I've always been home, even though I haven't lived here for quite a while. Currently, I work at Landless. Before that, I spent over 20 years as a journalist, most of that in newspaper, and most of that at the Police Center Dispatch. I've also served 4 years as an Army photographer and worked for a bunch of other newspapers. So I've seen a bunch of city councils operate from the other side, and part of the reason I'm running is because I've always wanted to basically make a difference. And what better place to make a difference than in your hometown? So, in my board, please vote for me.
Very good. Colleen?
I'm Colleen Behrens. I was born and raised and graduated from high school in Kansas City, Missouri. My mother was from Marysville and spent every summer here growing up. Moved here the day after I graduated. Then lived in Garden City and Wichita for a few years, and in '78 we moved back, my husband and I. My children were born here, both graduated from school here. I retired in 2019, and I've enjoyed my time on the council. We've accomplished a lot, had some rough spots, but we've accomplished a lot, and I'd like to accomplish more. So I'm in Ward 3. I appreciate your vote.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jeff Keating. Born and raised in Marysville, Kansas. Actually, raised part of my time in Home City, Kansas, but am a 1994 graduate of MHS. After high school, I took a very brief stint at K-State and found out that I wasn't wired for that type of a program, so I moved on to Oklahoma State. Got an associate's degree in applied science and diesel and heavy equipment. After that, I worked as a mechanic for several years, originally at Peschel Brothers, and then I moved to Fort Riley and worked at Mates. At that time, my wife, or not my wife, but my father always told me I needed a wife and 2 kids. So I came home one day and I said, "Hey, Dad, guess what? I found a wife and 2 kids." I decided that I did not want to raise my family in Manhattan, Junction City. So we moved back here, bought a home in 2003 up on Jenkins. I actually got nominated for a vacant post to be on the city council one time. I showed up to the meeting and we found out I lived on the wrong side of the street. So that was my first attempt. Since then, I've worked at Landell Corporation, just hit my 18 years on October 6th. Started out in the purchasing side of things because I knew the difference between a sprocket and a gear, and had a good time doing that. And then 10 years ago, I was asked to move out to the shop 50, and that's where I've been since then. I guess I failed to introduce my wife in the back here, sitting center stage. My wife is Crystal. She works at CMH. She's been there the same amount of time I've been here in town, so she's been at the hospital for 18 years as a radiology technologist. I have 2 sons, Dalton and Dylan. One works at Landos, one works at Pension, one just bought a home, and I got Caitlin, 14 years old in the 8th grade, and that is an awesome age for a girl. I appreciate your vote.
My name is Jason Barnes, current mayor of Marysville. I was born and raised in Washington, Kansas, and then once I graduated from there, I went to Manhattan Tech and then entered into the heating and air conditioning program. Once I got out of there, I worked for a year up in Beatrice and then 2 years for Hall Brothers. And after that, I got hired on at the hospital here in Marysville, moved to town in '96, and worked there for about 14 years, and then decided I wanted to be self-employed for some reason, and I've been doing that for 11 years, which I've enjoyed. And then in 2017, I decided to run for council, and enjoyed that. Ran for mayor in 19 and won that. Did not know I'd be serving as mayor during a global pandemic. It wasn't exactly anything I don't think anybody in local government or state government thought they'd be dealing with. But I've enjoyed it. Like William said, there have been rough spots here or there. But I have 3 kids. One just graduated from high school, got a senior, and an 8th grader, my daughter. So that's a little bit about me. Thank you.
My name's Rick Shane, the write-in candidate for mayor. Thank you all for coming tonight. I'm a native of Independence, Missouri, 1968 high school graduate, a U.S. Navy Vietnam veteran. I obtained education, went on the GI Bill, University of Missouri, Kansas City, obtained a bachelor's degree in administration of justice, which is a law enforcement degree, a master's in public administration with an urban administration concentration for city management. My wife is here tonight, Annie. She's Miss Annie from Kids U, so if any of you have kids in Kids U, they know her, she knows them. I have served with the city of Paola. I entered a public sector career in 1983, worked with the city manager in Paola. From there I moved to Gardner, Kansas as a city administrator. From there I went to Council Grove as their first city administrator. Then went to Medicine Lodge, Kansas as their first city administrator, and then to Baldwin City, Kansas as their first city administrator. Sorry, I got those backwards. Council Grove, and then Baldwin, then to Medicine Lodge as their first city administrator, and came here in 1999 from Medicine Lodge and spent 17 and a half years as the city administrator until I retired 5 years ago, and I enjoyed my retirement immensely. Personal side, Annie and I, between the two of us, we have 6 children. The oldest is about 51, will be 51 years old. The youngest is 34. She's a JL. She's a 2006 graduate of Marysville High School. I am a write-in candidate for mayor. I'm told you may or may not have to know how to spell the name right, so the spelling is up here. And for those of you concerned citizens on Facebook, I'll let you know that I have 1 fork that I use at home for my dinners and nothing else. So you can disregard the comment on Concerned Citizen America. If you own a restaurant, your forks are safe. Thank you.
All right, thank you, candidates. I do have 2 that were not able to attend tonight. Did us the courtesy of jotting down a brief introduction, and these are City Council Wards 1 and 2. Kyle Gorky, Ward 1. I apologize, unable to attend this evening. My wife and I had a prior engagement out of state. I encourage anyone who has questions or concerns to reach out directly. He lists a cell phone number is 785-366-0086. I always have and will continue to have an open door policy, and happy to hear from any constituents. I have the number if you need it later. Kyle Gorky, Ward 1 candidate. Lori Snellings, Ward 2. Unfortunately, I'm not able to attend this evening due to the Chamber Main Street Soup Day, which has been a part of my life since we began the event 7 years ago. We scheduled this event a year in advance, the second Tuesday in October, which is Candidate Forum night. Please, if you're a member of Ward 2, feel free to reach out to me with any concerns or questions you may have. Sorry again, I'm unable to attend this evening. Good luck to everyone involved. Wishing you all the best. Lori Snellings, Ward 2. All right, 60-second replies. You don't have to use the whole 60 because I got a ton of questions, and Ari will go around and pick up those questions from the audience. We won't do direct audience questions tonight because oftentimes they overlap. We'll try to cover as much ground as we can. I'm doing school board second. Yeah. Because we're short one candidate that plans to attend tonight, and hey, that's Ari's job. All right, so let's talk city council business. Liberty, we haven't forgotten yet. What do you consider to be key issues? That's my first question tonight. Up to 60 seconds. What do you consider are key issues facing the community? And I start with number 2. So Ryan, you're up, and then we'll work our way back.
Okay, well, obviously there's been a lot of controversy in the city council lately, but I think the most important issue isn't the controversial ones. The issues like taking care of our streets, making sure water and sewer operate, public safety, all those things are important. And what make a city government vital. I don't know if you guys realize, but our street department here in Marysville has an excellent reputation. They are the people that other cities come to when they want to learn how to do concrete streets. Clay Center did that when they first started doing concrete streets again. They came here to Marysville because Marysville does it right, and they have a reputation for having excellent infrastructure. We've got to keep that going. That, if nothing else, is what city government should concentrate on, is keeping our infrastructure great. Of course, keeping taxes low are also a priority, but I'm out of time, so.
Elaine?
Like Ryan said, the streets are very important. We as a council have continued to try to improve our streets with concrete streets. We're trying to do in phases 11th and 12th Road. We would like to do something with the 3677 intersection because of the bottleneck with trucks, or the problem with trucks there. Water is important. We've been replacing water lines. We're in, I think, the last year of the CIPP, which is the lining of the sewer pipes. And then we're in the process of updating the lagoon system. That's, I think, 30 years old. And we're trying to get it up to KDHE's present standards.
Very good. Jeff?
I think an important thing for our community as a whole, we have a lot of opportunity here. The biggest challenge that I see is to have what I consider decent, affordable housing. And it's not just housing to purchase, it's housing to rent. There are a lot of properties in the community that are distressed that, in my opinion, we should probably either find a way to make some improvements to those, or we should try to get some of the community leaders, the business leaders, to work together and figure out a way to offer some type of housing that is that entry-level thing for people that are moving into town. And like I mentioned in the paper, I'm not promoting more housing units. I'm just promoting repurposing some of the properties that are around and encouraging people to go that direction. So I think that's one thing that our community really needs to continue to, it's a really good opportunity for us.
Carrying the same question on to our mayoral candidates. Again, what do you consider the key issues, Jason?
I think they've touched on quite a few of them, but our lagoon system improvement is something that we're going to be working on and continue to work on. We've got the plans, preliminary plans basically done. And that's something we've got to get done in the next few years to meet the KDHE requirements. Housing is also an issue. I mean, everybody's pretty aware of that. We've got plenty of job opportunities in town, but we don't have enough housing for people to move here. And it's tough. I know when I moved to town, I mean, I still live in the same house, and entry level, I need a lot of work. I bought it, fixed it up. We definitely could streets. We have done some street projects, and as we find room in the budget, we do street projects. If there's more money there, we'd like to do a lot more streets, but we also want to keep the taxes stable. So, it's finding the money to do the projects we do.
Rick?
Well, notwithstanding the recent personnel activities that have happened, I think it's probably time that we move forward from that situation that's happened. In my personal opinion, that's a sad situation that's happened. But looking ahead, I agree with a lot of what the other candidates have said. I do believe one of the top issues, and I think I stated that in the paper, is the development of the 7th Street corridor. That corridor has been sitting there since 2007, since the railroad. Then KDOT wants to see that intersection improved, so I think that's one of the top ones. I applaud the council for beginning to work on 11th Road, 12th Road. I think that needs to continue. It needs to continue on over to Keystone, on down South 12th to Limestone. Those folks are living in the city. They deserve a paved road just like everybody else. There needs to be some discussions on how the financing ought to be on that. I really just would second just about what everybody else has done. I agree with Jason, tax is low. I may have some opinions on ways to finance these things. I'm not. I just always pay as you go. Pay as you go is great. But Margaret Thatcher said sometimes you just run out of other people's money. So there are ways to accomplish these projects. So I've got to stop. Thank you.
All right, that was our first question. I'm going to direct Colleen on the next reply. All right, if you want to go pick up what questions we have, we'll try to put those in some semblance of order and see if we can touch on some of those. Oh, I did. I'm sorry. Carry on, please. What are the key issues?
I completely agree with all the candidates, but with me, it is, we have completely forgot about the east side. At east side, not the east, the west side over here, they completely have all the infrastructure there. And we've taken time, and a lot of people have taken money out of their own pockets to remove and, get rid of all the bad houses, ones that are broken down, ones that have been abandoned. And, that's a viable community over there. They're a good community over there. There's nothing wrong with that. You have beautiful trees, you've got your sewer, you've got your electricity, you've got your water. And I think that, as Jeff was saying, we need to find people who are going to be willing to come in there and either refurbish the homes at a decent price to buy, or else find someone who can come in and start starter homes. Maybe a 1 or 2 bedroom, and then they can move up as they live their lives.
And I shuffled them just to confuse the moderator, by the way. In all fairness, you get the first question, you don't have as much time to form your thoughts. So that said, we'll move on to the next question and start with Colleen. This is kind of two-part, but basically the same direction. Why are you the best candidate, and how do you see yourself as different from your opponent? Without getting too personal, why are you the best candidate, and how do you see yourself as differing in policy positions from your opponent?
I've had 2 years of experience, and it does take a little while to get the flow of how the council works. I spent time going around with Austin to see all the buildings and see all the employees, and so I knew where everything was. Until that time, I knew the lagoon was out west, but I didn't know exactly where it was. And I think I have a level head on my shoulders. We all have reasons we do things, and pretty good reasons. So, and we like, everybody said, we like to keep taxes low, and so we kind of want to improve things but not raise taxes. So.
Very good. Jeff?
The question again?
Why are you the best candidate, and what separates you, or what may be different from you and your opponent that you're aware of?
Well, I'm the best candidate because I have less hair. And I think what would separate me from my opponent would be some of my experiences, both in the business world, honestly, of being exposed to a lot of major purchase decisions, a lot of human resource decisions, and just a lot of management decisions overall I think those type of qualities would help me give guidance to the city council, or at least I would have I feel a strong, when I'm going to say something, this is truly how I feel, and I'm genuine about it, because I've experienced a lot of things over time. So that's my answer. And I do have less hair.
Very good. Jason, you're up next.
Well, I don't know. It is a tough question. I mean, I've tried to, as mayor, be as fair as I can, and I've tried to give the power back to the council as much as I can. I mean, we had a different situation before. And I will say, as mayor, I found my rules a little bit different than what it was as a council member. As a council member, you're more concerned about your vote on a particular issue, whereas as a mayor, I'm more concerned about making progress forward. And it's not always in the direction I want. I mean, there are votes that don't go my way. We don't always agree on everything, but the main thing is that we're adults about it, and once the decision is made, then whatever the decision was, I want it to be successful as it can be. And I mean, that's what I've tried to kind of do as mayor. It doesn't always work, but I try to, as much as I can, get it to work. So that's all I have.
Well, obviously, I've never been a mayor or city council member, but I have 29 years' experience in the public sector. I've been a city administrator in 4 cities. Paola, I've done building inspections, planning commission secretary, so I think I can say I can run the whole gamut of everything the city operates. I know most of the city employees, they have hired some new ones. I still keep in touch with some of the guys. I still say hi to them, so I come on board. I know where the facilities are. I know there have been improvements. I haven't seen all those updates. I would commend the city, Jason, what they've accomplished on some of these concrete streets. In my article in paper, I'm big on concrete streets or either asphalt streets. Chip and seal, folks, is a waste of your tax dollars. We need to have a plan that replaces these chip and seal streets that have to be sealed every 3 years with something that's got a decent asphalt surface, pavement, 7 or 8 inches asphalt, 6 inches concrete minimum, folks. That's the way you're going to preserve your tax dollars in the future. Make sure your grandkids aren't sealing streets for the next 30 or 40 years.
Bobby? Why are you the best candidate, and how do you differ from your opponent?
When I came down here after a year or so, I ended up taking over an established barbershop, Marvin. A lot of you people here will remember Marvin. And he was probably the most helpful person at that time in my life. But I'll tell you what, it has been absolutely a joy to be here. Everybody has ups and downs, everybody has good days, bad days. But I have enjoyed seeing my business flourish, number one. And I also, number two, I've watched my grandkids, and my kids graduate from high school here. There's no other place that I really want to be at all. It's a good place. You can establish a business. People here are helpful with you, with your business. That's all I need.
Ryan?
Well, I don't think I'm necessarily better than my opponent. Anytime someone volunteers to be on a public board like this, frankly, I don't think you can lose with that person. And I'd like the public to remember that. But what I do differ is I can offer an outside perspective. I've seen how other councils operate. I've seen what works and what doesn't. I can provide a fresh perspective, and I think that's something Marysville needs right now.
All right, I think everybody got caught that time, right? So Jeff, you're up first on this next question. The comments from the candidates kind of lead to this next one, because I think there was a good respect for your opponent, and we often need that in government and leadership positions. We're going to talk a little bit about some frustrations in the community. And the first one, how would you maintain or restore trust in the city government? Again, how would you maintain or restore trust if it's broken within the city government?
Well, personally, I have not lost trust in the city government. And I'm I'm sure this question is alluded towards the events of most recent. As well as everyone sitting in this room, I do not know any of the details or facts involved with some of the issues that have taken place of most recent. So therefore, I cannot form an opinion on it. Now I'm going to leave it at that because until, kind of like I say, it all comes out in the wash, we can't form our own opinions. So I'll leave it at that.
Good, Jason?
I mean, we've been through a lot lately, and I'll say it's no fun to sit and sometimes be attacked and not be able to respond. What I just tell people is that you have 8 council members and a mayor and city administrator, and you have to trust that they're making the right decisions with all the information that they have in front of them. It might not be the decision that you think is the right one, but you've always got to understand that they're trying to do what is best for the city anytime they make a decision. But it's tough. It's tough. And, as far as, I hope that they haven't lost trust in us. But you just have to have a little bit of faith in us. That's all I can say. Thank you.
Rick?
Tough question, Bruce. I am aware of some of the facts surrounding that. I'm not at liberty to speak to those. But I think it's an unfortunate situation that we lost our police chief. However, I believe he's the one that will benefit from this. The city has lost a good police chief. But things like that happen in any city that happens. I've been involved in firing a police chief before and a lot of goes. From here, we need to move forward. How are we going to restore trust? It's a matter of perceptions. You've got to admire the council and the mayor, administrator sitting up there and taking all that rough because they took a lot. Was it deserved? That's for anybody's opinion. To try and restore trust, I believe, I can bring 30 years, almost 30 years of experience to a council, and I've sat around the horseshoe, not as an elected member, but as a appointed member, so I know it's tough, and you have to strengthen those relationships. But I think, above all, we've got to find a way that people, when they hear what's going on, when they know what's going on, when they see what's going on around the horseshoe, that they understand what's happening. And there's just a lot of different ways to communicate that, so thank you.
All right, brings it back to this side. Bobby?
Well, number one, there's an upper door policy to talk to. And people come into the barbershop and sit down just to ask questions and talk. And the situation that just happened, very unfortunate. But there is nothing I can tell you. All I can tell you is there are legitimate reasons things happen. And that's just the end of it. And I can't go any farther than that. And I'll say I'm really sorry you're upset about this, but this is serious. So it isn't something to sit and gossip about at the coffee shop. It's not. There's a lot to it, and like the gentleman said, we need to move on. There's nothing we can do. Things have been done. Things went into motion, and nobody wants this kind of turmoil. Nobody enjoys this kind of turmoil. Period. But there's questions we can answer, and there's some we just have to stand and just not.
Brian?
Fortunately, I think this does have an easy solution. It just comes with transparency. And I know, especially in personnel matters, that is a difficult thing to do. Often, I don't know anything on this. I'll be upfront about that. But often councils are concerned they might get sued. I do believe there's probably a good reason. But all you need to do to restore people's trust is tell this, just be upfront and say why. Doesn't even need to be detailed. Just say something.
Colleen?
I really wish it was that easy that we could just say something. And I'd love to be able to tell but it's not possible, and we won't. We try to do what's best for this city, to govern this city, to improve this city, and I guess the only way is to continue to do that and to show everybody that is how we roll.
Okay, I think I got everybody on that question, right? And Maddie's probably the one that's generating the questions, so if I stay on it for a couple more, that's at least half the questions that I'm getting from the audience tonight. So we're going to drill down just a little bit further, but I think you may have commented in some manner on the dust up with the police chief and the recent actions by the council. Jason, you're up on this one. The role of city council, the role of city administrator that's been discussed in recent weeks with all of the activity. Can I leave it as a statement with that? The role of city council and the role of city administrator?
I mean, the city administrator runs the city, basically at the discretion of the council. We meet, any items that we purchase, anything like that, council approves, and then it's the city administrator's job to execute that. I mean, it used to be in the past that the mayor had quite a bit of control. Oh, yeah. It used to be in the past that the mayor did have quite a bit of control before they had the city administrator, but they changed that probably back in the 90s, and we'll know that, probably in the 90s. Yeah, I have been very much of the opinion that my role as mayor is not to force my views on the council members. I very much think that council should be allowed to work. I don't talk a lot at the council meetings. I don't feel that it is my job to state my opinion on everything that is on the docket and on the agenda. That council members need to have the time to discuss amongst themselves what they want to do. Sorry.
Rick?
I agree with what Jason said. I probably disagree with him a little bit. But I do believe it is necessary and appropriate for the mayor, as being top elected official, to have an opinion on these issues. I respect Jason's deference. I offer no criticism on that, but I think if you're a mayor, you need to have an opinion on things. If you don't have an opinion, say you don't have an opinion, but at least if the council goes for it, they go for it. If they don't, they don't. I don't think the mayor should be a bully, and Jason's not a bully. That's in the past. So I can bring a perspective that I know what a city administrator should do, and the mayor part, that's the learning part. But having served under good mayors and bad mayors, I think I have a very good perspective about how a mayor should be and what their role should be. And Jason's right. Don't know that I can add anything as far as the role of the city administrator. Sometimes, I tell you, it's not easy being a city administrator. I felt, and when I was city administrator, I'm there to take heat for the council. So whether I agreed with what the council did or not, just a few seconds, it was my role as a city administrator to represent that council and take the heat for them, and not make them take the heat. So that was a lot of function of the city administrator. Thank you.
Bobby?
The city administrator has done a very good job considering in this situation. This has been a hot button situation, and it is what it is. He takes care of going out and making sure everybody's doing their job. He goes out and checks the crews. He does all of this. This council comes to him when they foresee a problem, if there's an issue, and then we discuss it with him, and then it's his job to take care of it. And we shouldn't be micromanaging anybody. We shouldn't be micromanaging the crews. That's not what we do. That's not our job. But we have to talk to our city administrator. And it's not like we want him to act like a little puppy. We expect him to have an opinion back. But we depend on him to take care of what the council needs to be done.
Ryan?
Okay, well, I personally think giving the city administrator the authority to hire and fire department heads is the wrong use for that job. City governments operate in a lot of different ways, but it's pretty universal that the council and the mayor appoint and hire and fire department heads. And don't understand why it's different this time. I'd like to see our council return to that. I think that if you're not willing to do that job, I mean, that's a job of a mayor and councilman. Maybe you shouldn't be serving.
Elaine?
The council directs the city administrator. The council doesn't want to be responsible for hiring and firing people. The continuity of one person having that job helps the council and the city run more cohesively. That is why we gave the city administrator that role to hire and fire people in the city, the employees. The city administrator works under the direction of the council in all aspects of his job.
Jeff?
I think as long as there's still a good working relationship between the city council, the mayor, and the city administrator, and that he's seeking some guidance and counsel from the mayor and city council, I think that that's the direction that should take place. I know that I would never want to just make some decisions on my own without at least having some counsel, talking to some other people. And as long as that's taken place, I think we're going the direction that we should go.
All right, thank you, candidates. We'll change the topic. Rick, you're up first on this one. Talks about enforcement of ordinances, and it's a submitted question. They specifically talk about nuisance properties, number of animals, those types of things that seem to come up time after time. Talk about enforcement of ordinances for the city of Marysville.
That's something I've dealt with in a lot of cities, and I'll tell you what, unless the council is willing to take a stand and back up the staff on the ordinances as far as cleanups, demolition, it really does no good. You know, I think some of you have noticed that Blue Rapids has made some good steps and progress cleaning their city up, while Marysville hasn't. Why? It's because if the city passes an ordinance, the council passes an ordinance, states you can't do this, you can't do that, you need to enforce it. And when somebody comes and complains to the council that, hey, you make me do this, you make me do that, it seems like over the years, and while I was administrator, it's like, you know, first person that came up and griped, okay, they got to, all right, we'll back off. So if you're not going to enforce them, then take them off the books. That's frankly the way it is. Let people live their lives free from government interference, whether it's local government or state. But, you know, throwing grass in the street, you know, if you're not going to enforce it, take it off the books. Clean up properties, clean up your porches, whatever it is. Back up your staff to enforce it.
Bobby?
We have a very good code enforcer, and I don't know where the opinion that he's not doing a very good job. He has been. The gentleman has gone and done the will of the council. And the amazing thing about him is he's just as calm can be. If someone's irate or angry, he just stands there and he continues to tell them. And he documents everything for the council. And yeah, you know, you give them a chance. If they don't clean it up within X amount of days, and he brings everything, all the evidence to council and says, this is what we need to do. And we have gone through that. You know, we've gotten houses demolished. We've had people have to get all their stuff, you know, removed from around it. We've worked very well considering the amount, unfortunately. Until you're on council, you don't understand the amount. It's certain, and not just over on this side, all over the area, that can accumulate. And people just don't care.
Ryan?
I think the city's doing an excellent job as far as nuisance properties go. The ones that are problems are either coming down, being fixed, or in the progress of something happening. Just compared to other cities, from what I've seen, driving the streets, Marysville is in excellent shape. We don't have, and I know there are more than I can than you think. But I've seen towns that where it seems like just about every property is an issue. But that's not the case here. We're very fortunate, and I'd like to see us continue on that path.
Colleen?
I kind of agree with Rick. You do have to have the staff to back you up. We've had some instances where an employee did not want to enforce some ordinances that we had on the books. We handled them. And there are still a lot of nuisance properties that I call them, but we are trying to clean them up. We're getting a lot of that done. We've done Main Street. We still have a couple more to go. And then there's a few I'd like to see addressed too, but sometimes your hands are kind of tied.
Jim?
I think in the recent years, the city has made great improvements on cleaning up some of the nuisance properties. I think there are still some out there that need to be addressed. But as far as the direction the city's been going of recent, I think they're doing a very good job.
Finally, Jason?
I mean, it's been a priority for previous council, and then this council has continued that, especially trying to clean up some of the blighted properties. Diane was instrumental in that. We've had a lot of very good luck with our incentive program. We will cover some of the cost of tearing down a blighted structure. It's difficult, and I mean, I didn't realize until I got on council how difficult the condemnation process can be. I mean, it's very time-consuming. It takes a while. It's expensive because most of the time these properties are owned by people that cannot afford to tear them down. So the city covers the expense of that. It gets put against the property taxes and specials, but seldom do we ever get any money back out of it. I mean, but it's something that needs to be done. We've got to keep moving towards cleaning the town up. But it's a slow process. We don't have enough money to just condemn all of it at once. But I think we do what we can. That's all I have.
All right, we're back to you, Bobby. I think on the next one, it's a two-part but very related. What's the best way to address differences between you and other council members? And then would you support a board decision that differed from your opinion? To repeat, what's the best way to address differences between you and a council member that you may not agree with? And would you support a board decision that you weren't in the majority favor?
Well, to be honest with you, we shouldn't have to agree about everything. That's why we have 8 people there. And you can come to an understanding most of the time, but you don't have to feel pressured to. That's why we vote. Okay, and if it does get split 4-4, then the poor mayor gets involved in it. It has to, figure out where he's gonna go, but no, this is what we do. We aren't out there like a school of fish all going in one direction, which would be nice. But everybody has an opinion, and they're normally very good opinions about why we should or shouldn't do something. We could be in the process of whatever, and someone come up with an idea, and it's like, oh, we didn't think of that. And you just have to understand, you're not going to always get along, and you're not always going to agree. But that's the way it's supposed to be.
Ryan?
Well, frankly, I think if I agreed with every council member on every issue, I wouldn't be doing my job as a council member. There are definitely going to be some differences of opinion, and that's okay. Most of the time, it's just a matter of talking it out, coming to some kind of mutual understanding or consensus, and finding common ground. Fortunately, we live in a small town. That's easy to do, and usually the common ground is we all want to make the city a better place.
Colleen?
Like Bobby said, that's why we have 8 people. It takes a majority of the votes in affirmative to pass. There's been lots of times I didn't agree with the vote, the way it went, but you have to get past that and just move on. For the most part, all of our council members really get along, and we encourage each other. But yes, there's been a lot of votes that I didn't agree with, but you just, like I said, you move on. It's just the way it is. That's why you have 8 council members and why the majority rules.
Jeff?
I think that's probably one of our easiest questions tonight, because to me, that's common democracy. And if we all agreed with each other, or if we had one person that we didn't agree with and we shoved them out to the side and said, no, you're out of the picture, we would not be following what I feel our founding fathers believed in. So,
Jason?
Well, like I said before, I mean, council does not always agree on everything, and I mean, we all manage to stay friends for the most part. There are times that votes don't go the way that I want, and I will say that the most important thing in a council member, the best qualities, I guess I can say, are you want individuals that have an open mind, that are willing to do the research, listen to the experts, and then make an informed decision. One of the worst things that can hurt you on council that I've found is if you have someone that the vote doesn't go the way that they like, and then they try to almost sabotage the project from the inside. And that makes it very difficult sometimes to get things done. I mean, you're not always going to get what you want. I don't always get what you want. And you got to realize you might be working on a project now that is very dear to you, but the next project might be one that's very dear to the other council member, and you need to understand that. They always vote for what they think is the best for the community. Every council member. They don't always agree, but they always think that they're doing what is right for the community.
And finally, Rick?
Well, our republic was founded on robust discussion. If you're familiar with founding fathers, we wouldn't have this great nation if our founding fathers had not respected each other, valued everybody's opinions. Just look at the volumes of material that was written about speech and opinions and stuff. So I pretty much agree with what everybody else says. You need the robust discussion. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. May not be right, may not be wrong. But as long as everyone on the council, including the mayor, even city administrator, I think needs to be involved in discussions about what is the best course of action. And at the end of the day, you need to lead. If you're not a friend or something, at least be respectful. But I think all opinion, the 9 members of the governing body and the city administrator all have to be involved in those decisions, and nobody's voice needs to be stifled in that. So.
Did I catch everybody on that question? I think I did. Ryan, your lead off on the next one. I'm going to pull a Frank Fritz, and I'm going to bundle questions. They're all having to do with major projects. The most recent was a proposal for improvements on the North 7th Street corridor at Monday's meeting. The second is the longest vexing question for the residents on 11th and 12th Road. And then any other major projects that you see that are key to getting accomplished soon. So 7th Street, 11th and 12th Road, and then any other key issues.
Well, I'm really excited to see the 7th Street corridor project move forward. There's something that I've wanted to see ever since those 2 trails were made. There's some connection. And of course, infrastructure is important. So any project that expands, improves streets, I'm going to get on board with that. As far as other projects, I mean, we have an excellent downtown. I'd like to see it stay that way. We've got great parks. I'm personally very excited about the dog park, but that's because I've got 2 dogs and would love to utilize one at some point. Any project that improves quality of life, I think, is worthwhile. Of course, it always comes down to money. Do we have enough? And the answer is usually no, so we have to prioritize. So, but generally speaking, anytime we can make the city better, I'm for it.
Colleen?
I'm excited to see if we can get a grant to improve the 7th Street corridor. It would be very beneficial to everybody, all the business that spoke Monday night, and I hope we can move forward and get that done, get that project done. 11th and 12th Road have been a hot topic at council meetings. I wish there was an easy, quick fix for both of them. We've kind of planned them out in phases so that we can address each road every year or 2. 11th Road is getting some concrete on their street now. We do have a drainage problem out there that we addressed with CES when they did that engineering. So they came up with a way to address the drainage. So hopefully from here we can just keep going and get them both improved and then move on to Keystone eventually after we get them done.
Jeff?
First off, I think that the 7th Street corridor, that's a great project. I hope to see that move forward and be completed. Concerning the 11th Road, Keystone, and 12th Road, I think maybe we ought to rely a little input from the citizens. I'm not a big fan of a total concrete road. I think there's some additional costs there that we probably do not need to incur, and I think there's some other good options on the table that should be discussed. And again, we need to get some input from the citizens that are out there before the council can move forward with the decision there.
All right, to repeat the question, 7th Street corridor came up Monday, 11th and 12th roads have come up multiple times. Any other key issues, Jason?
Well, I mean, we're hopeful maybe we can get some grant money to do 7th Street corridor. I mean, it would be a nice project. It'd be an opportunity to improve some conditions for some of those businesses and also improve some of the storm drainage in the area. And also tie in nicely with the trail and with the depot that they've been doing a lot of work on. As for the 11th, 12th Keystone, that is a very difficult question. As anybody knows that's kind of looked into it, it does not have an easy solution. I'm not a big fan of borrowing a large amount of money. Council has not seemed to want to go that route either. We've been doing sections as we have money in the budget to do them. And we'll continue to go forward. New council comes on, if they want to come up with a plan and figure out a long-term solution, I'd definitely be open to that. I know the people that live out there are tired of those roads, and I would be too, if I was driving on them every day. And I also know that getting those roads done would probably help get more development in that area and some more houses added out there in that development, which we would definitely like to see. So, thank you.
Rick?
Well, I'm a fan of the trail program. As you know, I wrote the grants that got these trails here in town. We pushed years ago for 7th Street extension. There was a master plan. If you don't even see it, you ought to come and ask for it. It did include that improvement. There was a bird's eye view for this first block. No problem with that, but I'm a great fan of that. I was very pleased to hear the council decide to proceed with that, try to seek that federal funding that's available. However, I have differences with Jason on financing. Pay-as-you-go is fine for a certain level of expenditures, but folks, when you're talking about the level of expenditures we need on 11th, 12th Road, most people have been waiting for many years. The projects that we did in town, almost all these you can see that I was involved with, we did almost all of those on short-term financing, and it did not kill us. And honestly, you, the accusation was always made that the city's going into debt. Folks, we were paying off more debt every year than we were ever taking on when we were issuing debt. All you have to do is go back and look at Keith. Keith saying is yes, and he knows that for a fact. So taking on debt is not going to kill you. You can do short-term financing, 3 to 4 years, pay those off. There's a series of ways to finance that. So, and options out there, I agree. There needs to be some discussions with the surrounding homeowners out there about some of these financing option improvement. And I know I'm running on my time, Sarah, but if you put together an overall plan for the whole thing, the whole corridor first before you start attacking it, you have a better idea. You can lay out your financing options instead of piecemealing. Do some preliminary design work for the whole thing and then do the construction after that. Thank you.
Finally, Bobby?
7th Street corridor. My workshop's right on the highway there, and I get pelted with rocks at the windows. There's just, the winds come up, and the little, there's dirt devils come around. Yeah, there's a problem. And I think it was like 4 years ago when we were having committees, and we were in a forward motion. I didn't know if we didn't get the grant. I can't really remember what happened, but we had been looking at it, and then it stalled. I personally think it's like a #1 project. I mean, there is other infrastructure that needs to be done, but that's a start. That's a start, get it cleaned up, You know, make sure they're not causing more problems, more water problems, because there are water problems down there. If we get 3 or 4 inches of rain, bets are off. You know, you could almost take a boat down. Well, actually, I did see somebody in a boat down there one time. So, 11th and 12th Road, it's tough. It's tough. If you do one for one and don't do for the other, then you're still in trouble. And Rick's idea, the grants, we'll have to look at that. You know, we need to do something for the people because they do pay taxes to us for those roads.
All right, I think I got everybody on that one. We're down to 2 quick questions, and then we'll give you a 1-minute summary. So I think we're up to Colleen on this, on the lead. 2-part, same question. How will you communicate with your constituents to ensure you're representing their interest? Again, how will you communicate with constituents? And then how will you involve residents in the decision-making process? How will you involve the community in the decision-making process?
Anybody can come talk to me whenever they want. I listen very well. I don't know what else, you know, I mean, yeah, I listen, people can talk to me. That's the best I can do, is to hear what they have to say.
Jeff?
Well, I have very much an open door policy when it comes to giving out my cell phone. So my one little campaign expense is a business card with my cell phone on it. I guess my cell phone's always been public knowledge to my employees, and it's always been a good practice to have a very much open door to everyone. As far as how I'm going to let the constituents of Ward 4 be involved in the decisions I make, I think as long as they're reaching out to me and offering their thoughts and opinions up to me, I will try to do everything I can to at least respect those opinions and try to do the thing in the best interest for the residents of Ward 4. So, thank you.
Jason?
I'm readily available all the time. I mean, I drive around town in a truck with my number on the side, so it's pretty easy to get a hold of me if you want to. Also, my number is down here at City Hall, and I'm still one of the few people that still has a landline in the phone book. So they reach out to me quite frequently about their concerns. I always try and direct them in the right direction for whatever the need may be. If they need to talk to somebody at City Hall, get a hold of the administrator, or get a hold of Will. So I try and be helpful with that. There are always going to be people on both sides of any issues. You're always going to have people that are supportive of a particular project or situation, and others that are not. You have to just kind of take that all into account. They just, like I say, they have to kind of trust I'm making the best decision with the information I have. It might not always be the decision that they want, but I think, like they say, you can please some of the people all the time, and all the people some of the time. You can't please all people all the time, and that's difficult. I mean, you try, but you can't always do it.
Rick?
I'll tell you what, folks, I'm the only Shane in the phone book. Maybe we're the only two that have a landline anymore. A lot of people have my cell phone number. At this point, it doesn't need to go public, but call me at home. You know where I live, come sit on. I've got a nice front porch. You can get up the steps, come on up and sit there. You can come down the back alley behind a Catholic church. You don't have to negotiate a bunch of steps. We're always home. Knock on the door. One of us is usually at home, except maybe on the weekends. So, well, if you see me at Walmart, something, whatever, that's okay. I'll just come talk to you. Thanks.
Bobby?
I'm at the barber shop. We've had plenty of conversations at the barber shop, whether it's me. I walk my dogs a lot, twice a day. I talk to a lot of people when I'm out walking my dogs. And it's been nice because I live in the pumpkin-colored house on North and 13th Street. You can't miss me. And they will come up to my door and I'm not gonna shoo you away, you know, saying after hours. That's just not the way it is. And it's hard when I can't give them the answer they want. But I will always tell them the best of my ability, the truth. So I'm quite accessible. Sometimes you just have to catch up with me, you know, I may be a block ahead of you. So yeah, get a hold of me at the barbershop, you know, come by my house. It's not a big deal, you know, that's why we're here. We are here to serve the community, period.
And Ryan?
My cell number is 785-268-0442, but I'm actually better at returning emails, and that email is wilsonbriand@yahoo.com. That's my last name, first name, middle initial D @yahoo.com. I promise the email I'll respond.
Okay, caught y'all on that one. We're down to the end. This is 30 seconds. And then we'll do you a 1-minute summary and we'll move on to the school board. Jeff, lead off. You have an elevator pitch. It's 30 seconds. What do you tell a total stranger about Marysville?
I think Marysville is a great place to live. We are moving forward. We have a lot of things to offer between our great healthcare system, our downtown businesses, and the people that we have in this community. If I could find another small town that offered a lot of the social events that we offer through the arts and entertainments, I would probably have to argue with them. So that's my one thing I'd tell somebody.
Jason, 30-second elevator pitch.
Marysville's known for the Plain Express Barn and also for the Black Squirrels. I moved here 25 years ago. I think it's a wonderful town to raise your family. I went through some things with my wife years ago, and I found it to be a very wonderful, hopeful community full of wonderful people. And I've stayed around here. I hope my kids will stay around here. We'll see. But that's just all I tell them. We've got great employment opportunities here. We've got a lot of, like Jeff said, wonderful businesses. It's full of a lot of wonderful people. So, thank you.
Well, I'll tell you what, folks, I've been in Salt Lake City and told people I was from Marysville, Kansas, and they say that's Black City. Did you know Betty Bell and did you know Sue Breeding? Literally, Salt Lake City. Marysville is known all across the country and stuff. But everybody's got a great response. Black Squirrel City, Landau Corporation. I ask people, have you ever seen a Landau truck going down the road? They say, yeah, made in Marysville. And talk about the park. So we're known for a lot of things. Thanks.
Bonnie, 30 seconds.
I'm going to add a little bit to that. I actually saw a Landau trailer down in Key West when we were vacationing down there that time, and I just popped up with pride. I said, Dad, that's us. There's a little salt, in there. But, it's a good place. I can testify the schools are good. The hospitals are great. It's a great place to have your kids. You can still feel safe going down the street. You can if you have to run around to the neighbors, you don't want to walk, you can go out at dark at night. And you don't have to worry about anything happening to you here. I've never had an incident of that sort where I would feel fearful in my home. It's a great place. It's a safe place.
Think of the quintessential small town with beautiful brick streets, where you know all your neighbors, even not just the ones next door, but ones down the block a ways, in the next block over. A place where people think of home. It frankly is the best place to live in America. That's what I tell people about Marysville.
Colleen?
It's a great city. It's a great town. It's a beautiful town. It's a safe town. We have a lot going for us, and we'd like to keep it going forward and moving into the next century and keep it the way it is with a little bit of progress forward.
All right, thank you, candidates. I will do a 1 second, up to 1 second. You can do it then. Up to a 1 minute to final summary. If there's anything else we forgot or anything you forgot, Jason will lead off with this, your final comments.
I mean, we've accomplished quite a few things in the last 2 years. I mean, the fire station is coming along, hopefully be completed pretty soon. I mean, we're working on the lagoon system. Like I say, there have been challenges the last 2 years. I've been very proud of council that they, which I know is unpopular with some people, but they passed the mask mandate last year. I know that was unpopular with some people, but they took a stand and, took in all the information, did what they felt was right to protect the citizens of Marysville. Not a political other than that. And like Rick said, I don't have a problem with taking on debt for certain projects, and we have done that with the fire station, and we'll be doing that with the lagoons. The thing with taking on the debt is always figuring out to pay for it. I mean, if we went to borrow money for the roads out there 11th and 12th, then we've got to figure out how we're going to pay for those, because you can't just take money from something that's already budgeted for something else and divert that without creating a hole in your budget. And so you have to sort that out to begin with. Thank you.
Rick?
Just correcting one code enforcement problem. In deference to Bobby, I was not criticizing our current inspector. I was talking about based on experience for many years that we've had that. I tell you what, I'm not a mask mandate person. I would never agree to that. I believe I respect people's liberty and their right to make their own decisions according to their health. I do not believe any government, any level, should be telling people how they need to live their lives and wear a mask. Let people, if they want to wear one, that's great. I think it's great. Let them do that. And then on the financing, Jason's right. You don't want to affect. But folks, I had almost 30 years in dealing with budgets and financing. I know how to structure the deal to finance public infrastructure. If you want somebody that has 30 years of government experience, then I am a candidate. Thank you.
And to Bobby.
It's a great place. Like I said before, it's just a great place. We have a lot of things to offer here. We've got great little museums. We've got helpful people. We've got great health care. We have so much going for us. And even the surrounding areas, we always reach out. We reach out to help. And we've got, like I said, great little festivals we do. The Black Squirrel Night's always my favorite. But then Christmas time is always a lot of fun too. We cover everything. And that very nice, congenial, caring way. That's the way we do things here.
Ryan?
I know it's a little thing, and I'm okay with it if it never happens, but one thing I'd like to see is that we eliminate yearly dog registration fees and just have one-time fee, and it's mainly because I forget to do it every year, and usually have to come in a month past the due date to renew my dog tags. I'd like to see stuff like that eliminated, where we unintentionally make payments on people over little stuff. I know part of the reason for the dog registration fees is to ensure that the dogs are vaccinated, but I think we can do that without having an annual fee. But other than that, I think, for the most part, the city is doing an excellent job, and I'd like to be a part of that progress.
Julie?
We have a great quality of life in Marysville with everything we have going for us here. We have the arts, we have health care, and I just like to see the city continue what it has and to progress forward.
And Jeff?
Well, first I want to say thank you to everybody that took time out to come out and stare at us all night long. We really appreciate that, especially my wife in the foreground here. And then I want to remind everybody that early voting starts October 13th. Okay, yesterday. And then obviously the election day is November 2nd, and I think that the most important thing is regardless of which direction you go with your vote, just make sure you go out and vote.
Correct. Get out and vote.
All right, I think our candidates did a great job. And I hope we got all these questions in, or at least something close. We had a whole bunch. Thank you tonight. I had some in advance. That was helpful. So if we did not, I won't let them leave the building until they answer your questions. So feel free to mix and mingle afterwards as well. I'm going to have Rhonda Miller address the school board candidates because she is a student at Marysville High School and has helped us in the past. So probably the 2-minute introduction for Liberty and Tyson, and then you can go around robin with some questions, and I'll kind of give you the high sign when the crowd's getting nervous to go home.
Okay.
Would Liberty and Tyson like to sit center stage here?
That might not be a bad idea. You guys
We can trade.
Well, I'm sure everyone is so excited to see me up here because that means that the night is almost over. So, hi, I'm Ariana Miller. As he said, I'm a junior at Marysville Junior Senior High School. I've been born and raised here, and I've gone to Marysville School District all my life. So, let's just get right into the introductions. You have 2 minutes to introduce yourself, and Mrs. Kessinger will have some time signals for you. So.
First off, I want to say I apologize for being late. I apologize to everyone in the audience, all the candidates for city government, and all those being at home. I did not want to let down a first grade girls tonight. So, as the name tag says, my name is Tyson Anderson. I live up in Park Place. My wife and I have lived here for 6 years. 6 years going on 7 now. And I work as a retail commercial lender for Farm Credit. I cover Kansas and southeast Nebraska, working with large grain operations, 7,500 acres and above. Previous to my experience with Cargill, I have my own brokerage business where I traded commodities and work, put forth budgets and plans for farming operations. Before that, I originally grew up in Salina, Kansas. Went to Kansas State University, got a degree in finance. Like I say, my wife and I have 2 little girls, Holly's 4 and Harper's 7. That's about that's all.
All right. Liberty?
Good evening. My name is Liberty Price-Obley. I am a Marysville native, born and raised here. Graduated from Marysville High School in 2001, and I took the route of taking some college courses, and I commuted while I worked full-time at the local Sonic. And then I did stop taking college courses, and I went full-time out at Blue Valley Telemarketing. Then I went back to school, and I obtained my bachelor's degree in business administration and ethics from Manhattan Christian College. After that, I went out to Michigan, and I obtained my law school degree from Thomas M. Cooley Law School in 2013. I came back here, and I have worked at the county attorney's office until 2015. I was employed at the county appraiser's office, and then most recently I work at Galloway, Weekers, and Brenniger. And so I live on the corner of 11th and Ann, and I'm running for school board. My husband's name is Shannon, and I have a 6-year-old named Lucian.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. So the first question I'm going to have for you is there a particular issue or situation that motivated you to run for school board? And we'll start with Tyson.
I've been asked that question quite frequently if I had an agenda. No, I really don't. I'm passionate about education. My wife is a teacher. I have a vested interest. As I look at the school board, I don't see there's nobody that has children in the elementary school that is currently on the school board. No, there's a grandchild of a lady, but I feel that with my experience and with us needing to hire a new superintendent, that I bring the hiring experience as I've sat in and hired financial officers for our company, as well as my understanding of finance and budgeting will bring much needed input into the next hiring and as we budget through some of the problems that we're seeing right now.
All right, Liberty?
As far as an agenda, no. I'm going to echo off of what Tyson said. There isn't anybody on the school board that currently has students that are actively in the Marysville High School. Like you said, there is one board member that does have a grandchild in the school system. So the person that I'm running against, Chris Denner, I wouldn't say that I'm a better candidate. I would say that I'm a different candidate. And I have a little person that is in kindergarten, and I would like to be involved in the process.
All right. Okay. So the next question I'm going to have is kind of a curveball. If our district was given a $1 million grant, what would you do with the funds and why? And we'll start with Liberty.
A $1 million grant. One of the things that I would like to see the school look at is that we have a beautiful football field. We have a beautiful facility, and lots of money has been put into that. I do think that our auditorium has been completely neglected. We have seats in the auditorium that have got duct tape on them. We have seats in the auditorium that are not bolted down, and the students are instructed to sit gently and be careful. That auditorium is utilized not only by the school, but by the public. And I would like to see that we invest more money into things like the auditorium and bring it more up to code for safety reasons.
All right, Tyson?
I would echo what Liberty said. We have amazing sports facilities at our school, at our high school. We have weight rooms and sports facilities that some community college would love to have. I would, if we were giving this $1 million grant, I would like to poll the teachers and see what we could do as far as any expansion in the science rooms or labs there, as well as the auditorium. I go every year and watch my daughters dance, and yes, that auditorium needs some work.
All right. So kind of to go around the basis of that, how do you think a school board should balance the needs of various departments, such as sports versus arts? And we'll start with Tyson.
I don't think it should be all one or the other. There's a number of kids that I know that are involved in both. As far as sports and arts, I don't like pitting one against the other. It should be equal in any funding, any time given away from school and that.
Liberty?
I think one of the things that we should look at is we should look at when the facilities have been updated. And in the case of the high school, the auditorium has not been updated, and we've had several improvements with the ag building, the football field, but one of the things we've not improved, we have not improved the band room. It is the same as when I was in high school, same way with the vocal music room. The chairs in the vocal music room we got when I was a freshman, and those chairs are still there. I think that we do need to look at the facilities and see what has been updated and how long it's been that it's been updated, so we're evenly distributing the improvements that we're doing to the facilities.
All right, thank you. The next question I have is, would you vote in favor of a board decision that would be beneficial for the majority of the district, even if it compromised your own personal beliefs? Liberty?
I would say yes. If it was overall good for if it was something that was better for the district and it was against my personal opinion, that was what you were saying, right?
Yes,
okay.
Correct.
Then yes, I would.
Tyson?
I'm wrong all the time. Ask my wife. If you can't listen to your constituents and you cannot see what's for the greater good because you're clouded by your own agenda, you have no business sitting on a school board.
All right. What would be your number one priority when or if elected? Tyson?
Well, right now, what's facing us that's the most challenging is the fact that we will be needing to hire a new superintendent. That person, I feel, needs to be very trustworthy, be able to cultivate relationships within the school, community, and area businesses. They need to be transparent. They need to work to attract and maintain good quality educators. And secondly, I would say that we do have a budget problem that's been brought to my attention. And again, I think that would be paramount on addressing. I feel that we are not attracting young, bright teachers because of the ability, because of our low base salaries. I think right now I will commend the school board in their efforts to seek out a new insurance plan. I think they're moving in the right direction, but it's going to take some time and work. So that would be what I'm here to do very first.
All right, Liberty?
The first issue is hiring a new superintendent. Over the last 8 years, Marysville has had, I think it's 17, no, I've got that mixed up. Anyways, I think it's over the last 8 years, we've had it's like we're keeping a superintendent roughly 18 to 24 months when the longevity of a superintendent is 4 to 6 years. We are not having the ability to keep a superintendent at this district that long. I would like to see a superintendent that we hire that gets invested in the community and is seen beyond the campuses. The question that was posed to me the other day, somebody asked me if I knew what superintendent couch looked like, if I could pick him out, if I was out in public. The answer is no, I could not. I would like to see somebody that we get in this community that is more involved and that we see outside of the campuses. So I think that would be the first priority.
All right. What is the role of schools in teaching our future generations about topics such as civic responsibility, social equality, history, and politics? Liberty.
That feels like a very loaded question.
I'm sorry. Sorry, you can, yeah.
The first part was civics.
So civic responsibility,
Okay.
social equality, history, and politics.
They need 2 minutes on that one.
Here, I'll simplify it. What do you believe is, okay, what is the role of schools in teaching our future generations about social equality and history?
Well, I think a lot of things we're not teaching in school anymore. There's a lot of things that kids don't know about, whether history was bad or it was something that was ugly and people were hurt by it. There's a reason why you learn about history. It's so you learn so you don't repeat it again. And it's really important that, I feel like it's really important that we do teach history as history was in the schools. Because that being taken out it's not teaching them anything. I also think that we don't have kids in school today that know how to do simple things like manage money, make eye contact, make phone calls, talk to people. We had some interns at the office this summer, and I asked one of them to make a phone call. The look on her face, she was terrified. She'd rather be able to text. And I said, you cannot text. You can't do that. So I think there's a lot of things that we're not teaching in school that used to be taught in school.
I'm not going to lie, at first I thought you were going to talk about the winter semester, and I thought you were calling me out, and I was like, that's scary. You can just call me by my name, I'm right here. So just to repeat the question for you, Tyson, what is the role of schools in teaching our future generations about topics such as social equality and history?
I am so thankful Liberty got that question first. So, as we do as I do in my role with Farm Creditors, we're encouraged to always treat every situation with respect, and remember, you're not attacking the person. I think that is lost in our communities and in our country. Something that is not being taught, or I won't say not being taught, I think something that is lost on a lot of kids is history and the knowledge of the Constitution and how it works. Constitution was one of my favorite classes my senior year. History was my favorite subject always growing up. I feel that, as Liberty stated, history isn't pretty, but we've got to learn from where we came from, and to try to rewrite it is absolutely wrong. As far as politics, not everybody's going to agree. There was a question asked to the city government candidates, and you need to be able to respectfully disagree, but move to a common result.
Perfect. All right, so since we're kind of around this realm, I'm going to pull up a question that we got from the audience, and it is a tougher one, so I apologize, Tyson. You're getting this one first. How do you feel about teaching critical race theory to students?
Critical race works to further create a divide in our country. It at its core is racist, and it teaches that all children of color are inferior or victims, and all children of white descent are racist, which are simply not true. CRT neglects the content of character and is based solely on skin color. Therefore, this type of indoctrination has no place in a public school.
Amen.
Liberty?
You know, somebody asked me today if I got the question about CRT, how I would respond. And I said, what does CRT mean? And then they told me critical race theory. And I agree. I don't believe that it belongs in the school system, because I do think that what it does is it puts it into a position where the people of different color are put as inferior, and like Tyson said, that isn't always true. And we need to go forward from that, because when you are teaching something like that, it's like starting a game and giving somebody an unfair advantage. And I don't think that that's right. So I don't believe that it should be in our schools.
All right, so the next question I have was also from the audience, and I did want to preface this question by stating okay, let me just say the question first, and then I'll tell you just some knowledge. So it says, would you allow a gay-straight alliance club in the school if you thought the school would be sued if you declined it? And this is just some information for you guys as well as the crowd if you don't know. A GSA was approved last month's school board, so that's been a hot topic as well. So just to repeat the question, would you allow a gay-straight alliance club in the school if you thought the school would be sued if you declined it? Liberty.
Would I approve it only if I thought the school would be sued?
Yes, that is the question, but if you would like to add more, you can.
I would approve it. I mean, under federal law, it has to be allowed. The other thing is that there was a school board meeting last night, and there was public forum, and this very thing was spoken about. And one of the speakers had brought up the idea that when you walk the walls of Marysville High School, there's a lot of opportunity, and there's also the acknowledgement that when you walk the halls of Marysville High School, that is not the end-all be-all. Because once you leave high school, there's a big world out there beyond Marysville. And if you have something like the Gay Straight Alliance Club, that is a resource for people who maybe need to reach out, and they need help, and that can offer them something in high school in our small community.
Thank you. Tyson?
Would I vote for it simply to avoid a lawsuit?
Yes.
I don't like how that question's worded, because then you're just saying you're just doing something because you don't want to be sued. That to me, I would look at this club, if I was on the school board that would have had the vote to approve that, I would look at this club and I would have said, does it accomplish, it will be done safely, is it done to the code book on the, I believe the code reference last night at the school board meeting was JHC. Is it supported by the administration? What are the pitfalls and or the drawbacks and pros and cons, if you will, of this club? Will the club force their beliefs upon other people, or will it be simply just a club with like-minded individuals? This can be said for any type of club. So as far as to say which way I would vote, I'm not going to speculate because I was not involved in those conversations. But to say that you're just going to vote for something because you don't want to get sued, don't step up to the plate and run for the school board.
All right. So sort of on the topic that we were just on, sorry guys, not moving away from it. I had a question from the audience that brought up the Marshall County Freedom Alliance. So the Marshall County Freedom Alliance attended last night's board meeting and spoke in opposition of the GSA. And the question I have is, are you on, or have you ever been a member of the Marshall County Freedom Alliance? And if so, what does this group stand for? And we'll start with you, Tyson.
In March, I was asked to go to Nemaha County to go to a meeting in a shop, and it was a group of people that were upset with the mask mandates and thinking that they were unconstitutional, and they were sick of being this forced down their throats. I agreed with everything that they said based on the constitutionality of them and my beliefs there. So I asked those people to come to Marysville and speak. They did a wonderful job. I attended another meeting in March, or in April. That was the meeting with the Nemaha County guys coming here in May. I attended a meeting where that group asked Representative Mosier to come speak and listen. It was all around what was going on, mask mandates and that. In May, if you remember, I addressed the city council as well as the school board, asking for full mandates. And then in June, the group asked if Michael Austin, who's running for the state treasurer, to come and speak and provide information regarding COVID and his stance on things and how he would better Kansas as the state treasurer. So whether I affiliated with it, I went to a few of the meetings. What do they stand for? That's been lost on me, as I haven't been to a meeting since June.
All right, Liberty?
No. I've heard about it, and I've seen that they have a Facebook page. That's all I know about it. Then I saw them last night at the board meeting.
All right. Moving on, I have a lighter question for you guys.
Thank God.
I'm sorry. This is what the people wanted. So, let's do. What should our district do to better prepare students for their future? Liberty.
Did you just say study? Is that what I heard? Yeah. Studying is important. But there's also the advanced placement classes that are offered through Marysville. I know there's some. It would be nice if they had more. Whether or not you're looking to join the workforce straight out of high school, you want to go to a tech school, or you want to go to a university. Things that they look at your GPA, they look at the type of classes that you take, and they also look at your SAT score. When you have advanced placement classes, and the more that are offered is obviously going to be the more opportunity that our students have like I say, whether they're going straight into the workforce or if they're going on to a secondary school. Because what it does is it provides them to be critical thinkers, and they're going to be faced with more difficult classes than that of normal high school classes, and they're going to have to think on their feet. And those are the kind of things that prepare you for, like I say, the workforce, being a critical thinker, or even moving on to university study.
All right, Tyson?
Yeah, I think we need to kind of eliminate the one-size-fits-all approach. College isn't for everyone. I think Marysville's moving in the right direction. Take tons of classes from Highland Community College and that, but I think there's needs to be some different avenues to take for those kids that are not interested in moving on to a college. Trade schools are a great option. Why others might benefit more by entering the military or heading straight into the workforce. They need to get workplace experience while in high school if that's something that they want to do. But I think right now Kansas law doesn't allow them to do such. So I think leaning on the state school board to put pressure on the legislators is paramount in that to broaden the experience of all of our students, not just only those ones that feel that they want to go on to college.
All right, thank you. And the last question for tonight, woo! I have, why should you be elected to the Board of Education? Tyson.
As I've said tonight, I feel that I bring a wealth of knowledge and understanding finance and budgets. I've been in a hiring process to where I've worked with my company. I think it is my job as a member of the school board to listen to the people and the parents that I represent. I think the attacks going on parents across this country speaking out against school boards and saying that parents should have no say in their children's education is ludicrous. And I promise I'll listen to anyone or any parent that has a concern regarding the education of their child without prejudice.
Liberty?
Repeat the question for me.
Why should you be elected to the Board of Education?
Because I think that I could provide something different to the board. I am involved in, like the Marshall County Arts Cooperative Board. I would like to see that we bring more to the school with regard to the auditorium, the band room, the vocal music room. I would like to see some other areas of things that need to be improved, at least represented on the board. I also feel like I would be different than the current person that's sitting on the board that I'm running against, because I have a person in school. He no longer has kids in school, so I would just like to try it. I would like to be something different on the board.
All right. Well, we're now going to finish with your quick summaries. You have a minute, so we'll start with you, Liberty.
In summary, I've been around Marysville my life, except for when I moved out to Michigan to complete law school. The community is very important to me. It's important to raise my son here. I want the community to continue to attract people to come and live here. And I think that our facilities at the school are amazing. I would like to see some other areas of the school improved, if that would be a possibility. And I would just like to continue to grow, and I'd like to see growth in more areas. Thank you.
I would say that I have a vested interest in our school system. My wife's a teacher, and I have two young children. As we've said this evening, not a lot of people that sit on the school board have kids. Those are the people that I'm talking to. I interact daily with young parents and young families. Our community has a lot to offer. We have great teachers, passionate teachers. I feel that we're going to need to have a good superintendent that can continue to drive public relations, to bridge a gap that I feel that has been missing with the current administration. And that's, I feel that I can offer just that, given my experience.
Thank you. Thanks for listening to me ask questions to the school board. I really appreciate it.
I wish she'd ask harder questions. She makes me look like the tough guy in the room. That's the real issues facing young people today, and she didn't make these up. Like the CRT, probably the number one question we had from the audience tonight, so they're very real. Thank you, candidates. And by way of closing tonight, thank you to all the candidates that took time out tonight. We do have 5, 6, 7 that did not make it tonight, so if you see them tomorrow, tell them we missed them. You can listen to the broadcast, we hope Monday evening on KNDY. It's on our AM 1570, FM 94.1 at 6 o'clock. BBTV had the live stream tonight. It will be on Channel 3 and available, I believe, on their Facebook, YouTube, something like that. Isaac, thank you for your time tonight. Sarah Kessinger, thank you for organizing this. She does this on a regular basis, and we sure appreciate that because it gives us an opportunity. You, the audience, thank you for coming out tonight. Don't forget to vote. Advance voting is underway. The general election is, I believe, Tuesday, November 2nd. Thank you to Austin for the sound system today and your time this afternoon getting us accommodated and turning the thermostat down just a little bit for me. We appreciate the use of the council chambers here. Anybody I forgot tonight, you've been terrific. Drive home safe. You do have an opportunity to interact with the candidates here at the end of the evening. Vicki?
Thank you, Bruce. Thank you. Thank you, Bruce.
Appreciate the opportunity.